Stars Without Number, Abaddon. I got it right this week. You're welcome. I'm gonna throw it. You just ruined my intro. That's all right.
You will never get a proper intro.
I won't.
Too sweet.
I'm just gonna ignore that, move on, drive through it, handing it straight over to Liam. Take it away, Liam. Save me from this mess.
Okay. Well, I guess I should start this how I start every single one of my games ever. Does anyone remember what happened like a month ago?
Yes.
Yes, Matt.
Oh fuck! I didn't think you were gonna call me.
You were the first one I saw your hand up, bro.
Yeah, last week was the first. Not last week. Last month was the first week. We introduced all the characters, and we started an epic mystery adventure trying to solve the murder of someone who I forget his name, which I will get in a second.
Mystery.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of other details like me examining dead bodies. The musician going on a crime investigation spree under the orders of the Shark Man. What else?
A crime investigation.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
spree.
crime spree, and then I realized it was more of a detective spree.
Sorry, the stream's not up.
It's not up.
No. It's fine.
It is up.
It'll get on. It'll get on YouTube.
Crime investigation spree, which I'm gonna stick with. A giant shark man who sat over a tiny desk and interrogated a shit ton of people, and a paranoid man who spoke in different accents because he's paranoid, because that's how that works.
And a psychic woman who hates Sharkman.
And a racist woman who hates Sharkman.
Yep.
I'm not racist, I just hate shark people.
That's racism. That's actual racism.
Look, shark lives matter, guys.
I mean, I'm the only Sharkman in the galaxy, which means I'm a minority.
Hey, we don't know that. You're the only Sharkman in the solar system. We don't know if you're the only one in the galaxy.
If I put up a nut net, will you get stuck in it? Shark nets.
Yeah, I would probably get stuck in it. But then I would remember that I'm half rhino, so I can just tear the net up.
It's more like
But if you're stuck in a net, you can't get a run up.
It's like 10 to 15% rhino.
And then I remember I'm human, so I just lift the net off me.
Yes, but it'll take you 3 tries to remember you're human.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure nets have caught people before. I'm pretty sure that is a thing they used to trap people with too.
I mean, yes, but they use bolas first to, catch them, and then they throw the net over them.
I don't know about that.
Do you want to save us from the ramblings, Liam?
I'm pretty sure it was war elephants.
Oh, damn it.
Cool. So, I'm just quickly doing some shameless self-promoting. So I'll attempt to do this whilst posting on Reddit and shit.
Go check out in the wee hours.
I would have thought he...
Cool. All right. So,
Shamelessly promoting.
All right. So we anything else important that anyone wants to note that happened last week before I take over?
Oh,
Did we mention that the chief engineer died?
Yes, that's what I mentioned. I forgot who it was though. The shark man.
It was
drank
Noah Erickson.
6 liters of vodka.
Oh yeah. We were. Oh yeah, the ship's breaking. A lot.
Yeah. Yep. And the guy who died was the primary benefactor of fixing it.
Yeah. So he basically your ship is like a barely cobbled together piece of trash, and he was keeping it together whilst also not letting the crew know that the ship was basically held together with duct tape and spit. Pretty good at his job. And then he was murdered because he was on the command deck or something. Also, not sure if it's a murder yet. Pretty sure one of the crew wants to rule it off as a accident/suicide. So that's important.
Yes. Yes. We spent 4 hours to discover that Morgan, his job is not to solve the crime. His job is to make sure that he has a job.
I was about to say, do you have a job on this ship?
assistant chief security officer.
Yeah,
He,
something like that.
he dictates orders. He's
Sorry.
like, "Hey, you."
Assistant to the chief security officer. What
Because
was
of course
name?
the chief security officer is Slain or Sloan.
Greatest
or-
man ever.
It's Slain.
Yup.
Slain, the true
Slain.
protagonist of this entire setting.
A man
Indeed,
so committed to law, he suspects himself.
You can never be sure that it wasn't you.
It's true.
It's a very important thing to check. Cool. So, the very last scene we saw last week was two characters interacting with each other, which, players could read into that, players might not. It's entirely up to the players. Obviously, their characters don't know that, and I trust them. I wouldn't have shown them that scene if I didn't trust the players the players to play the characters, knowing what the characters know.
Can I just make an important distinction that by interacting, he means they were boning. That's what he means.
I mean, we also didn't see that. We saw them
Okay, Leo.
interacting together in the Exo's quarters. Whatever may have come from there, and I'm sure we'll see ratifications of this at some point.
I apologize.
We're a PG-18
Thank you, man.
stream, man. Come on.
We have
Very
no-
important.
Right.
So, as we fade up from the title screen, what do we see people doing? What is everyone doing when we fade up on the next day of the murder investigation?
There's a box of personal effects by one Neil Erickson,
Noah.
Noah.
and there are things. Yeah, Noah, and there's just things in it.
Yeah, cool. So this is probably an important discussion. I think we'll play this out. So Sloan comes up to you, Morgan. Slain, Mass Effect. Slain comes up to you, Morgan, and says, "So, what do you think we're gonna do with his body?"
What we do with everybody that's come up here.
Do you think we should hold on to it for a while?
Once Dr. Matua has finished her medical exam, we'll do some sort of burial ceremony, I suppose.
He nods. So, like, the kind of standard thing to do would either be to cremate and then eject into space, or just eject into space, depending on how you want to go with that.
Or, keep the
The
body
question
for
is,
family.
do we have a
Will you keep
cremator
the body as
on
evidence?
board?
It's a standard outfit for pretty much
Right.
every ship.
So that's
What
what
people
we're-
die in
that's-
space.
That's the plan. We're gonna create the body.
Create the body.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Cool. So, what do we see our good doctor doing? I imagine we have the body here and the doctor's.
Yeah, you get a close-up shot of the intestinal tract of Noah Erickson as
Is your head just in his stomach?
his two gloved hands are like very jaggedly and forcefully moving their way through and throughout the organs, trying to pull out bits and get bits that she needs for her purposes. And she
Okay.
rips out the the stomach, looks at it triumphantly, places it aside, and sticks her hands back in.
Is Vinny or Erica helping at all?
Yeah,
Your small med team.
I think one of them might be helping me. The other one's running tests or something. One of them's asleep right now because it's probably shift work.
Cool.
Vinny or Erica are with
I think
me.
I think that's probably a good idea. Good idea on how that would work. Cool.
I mean, I've drugged myself up on sleep steam, so I'm here most of the time. And
I don't
So
think
that's-
you've ever-
That's
I don't think you spent the last 8 months.
that's basically just speed.
Oh yeah, no.
Like,
It's just heavily modified speed.
Just so we make a clear distinction here, what happens when a person gets injured generally on a spaceship, especially a military spaceship, is they just get pumped full of amphetamines and speed, plus heavy painkillers. Speed does a lot of that as well.
I'm on like 3 courses of uppers and then like another 3 courses of downers to balance down those uppers, and it's very delicate. Oh, like a week.
Cool. So that's absolutely. I'm glad you told me that, because that's going to play into some things. Speed can only keep you up for so long.
Yeah,
you do crash.
She's aware of the limitations, so she rests when she needs to. The absolute minimum of when she needs to.
Cool. And how do we see Constantine?
Well, the eternal struggle of being a detective is wearing heavily on Constantine's mind as he drinks his early morning whiskey.
I think what's your follower's name?
Leona.
Leona. I think Leona is kind of like sat on the table across from you. She goes, you know, this whole detective thing, not an excuse for you to day drink.
Oh,
what decade is this? Like,
30.
what decade is this?
Are you pulling the it's 3025?
Shut up.
Wow, he has to look up his notes. You broke our GM.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my housemates to fuck off. There's a middle finger in the background, I think. Yep. Sorry, what decade is this? This is 2236. Is the date by calendar?
Oh, the decade.
I told her.
30s.
23rd decade.
I tell her. It's common to day drink in the 30s. That might have been 2,000 years ago, but you know, I think everyone loves a throwback, especially on a Thursday.
That's just an excuse for your alcoholism.
Shut up.
He goes, you know, ancient history will not excuse your day drinking. You know, you got to get hell. I'm sure the doctor could help. Part of our job, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the doctor would be real good at like fixing an alcoholic when she's a fucking meth head.
There is a difference.
She laughs. And then I think so. We see, it cuts from there. We see, Laura, walking up to Gwen. She goes, "Hey, Chief, got a list of things I need you to look at."
When she says, "Hey, Chief," I hit my head on the desk because I'm currently underneath a computer terminal trying to get it to work.
Go.
You hear a loud bang. Yeah, what was that? Hello?
Raise an eyebrow. Chief, I got a list. Things need sorting.
Okay, then. Give me a second.
A screen to you that has a list of things.
Below the computer as I come out.
Cool. Yeah, so she hands you a list, and it's like things like there's a few things that are on there, like routine maintenance that you do for most ship, like check the drives and reactor sealing and all that sort of stuff. A few things about like it needs to schedule like a EVA walk, because like you've got a few like dings on the hull that might need checking, the outer hull that might need checking. Just like a whole list of like some are routine maintenance, some things are like you're like, oh, okay.
So nothing that stands out in particular?
Nothing that's like a huge risk.
With the state of the ship, this list is surprisingly small.
She laughs. Good at my job.
Apparently. So, you heard anything yet about any investigation?
She smirks, shakes her head. had a hell of a time keeping this together as is. I don't need to worry about that.
Alright, I'll get on this list as soon as I can.
2 notes. Yeah. Think Bruce finished up those cameras. Could reassign him.
That's probably a good idea. I've been seeing enough of Bruce's face on cameras the last couple days. Every time he starts a camera, you see his face.
Because the playback starts from like the first image. The first image is Bruce like fixing the camera, right? So it's like a close up of his face.
Yeah.
It's probably a montage at some point. Last episode was just like close ups of Bruce's face from different angles.
I mean, he's got the jawline for it.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Cool. All right, so the rest of the day passes without much more, I guess, events. Day is a very arbitrary term on a ship. You have like the standard ship clock, which is generally based off whatever port you just launched from. Some companies like to keep their own time. Saturn is one of them. So all Saturn Corp ships generally stick to the same time frame. Yours doesn't really listen to that though. I mean, you kind of do your own thing. So the later on in the day, probably like just after lunch, like your whatever your shift of lunch would be, the captain on all of your terminals, there's an alert. It has like the red trifoil of command, and it's the captain and XO summoning all section heads and all people involved in the investigation for a debrief. So you will get it because you're either section heads or somehow involved in said murder investigation.
I feel like send a message to Lane saying don't bother coming.
I'm like prime investigator on this fucking case. Thank you very much.
You're a musician.
You are a source by this point. It's like a footnote in a paragraph somewhere that says Constantine's sad.
I bring whichever one of my assistants is awake.
Cool. So yeah, the all of you guys, roll me a one, like a D2, Matt. Let's pick whoever you have.
What was we didn't assign them? We didn't assign them.
Erica is. I did. It was just literally whoever was on top on the little list. So Erica is currently on shift, so she comes with you. Okay, so you guys arrive in the like small little area that the Kendell has for this sort of thing. It's a like cross between like a small like meeting room / storage area. Kind of varies on what it gets used for depending on what you're doing at the time. At the moment there isn't any storage in there, so it's just being used for the like meeting. So you guys walk in, and so all of you are there. The captain is there. The XO is there. Somebody we haven't met before in game, Kayan, is there. He's the like kind of chief pilot. It's not an official role, but he's the one who writes up all the rosters and stuff for the pilots. So they're the one. He's the one that they generally refer to as their section head, although that's not an official role on the ship. And then Slane is there as well, along with Rose.
Sorry?
Yep, Rose Murphy for the admin. Yeah. Admin and general logistics support for the ship. And as you guys arrive, the other people are kind of like seated around a table. Apart from Slane, who is standing kind of back against the wall. He doesn't sit.
Yeah. He's like near one of the corners to see.
Yeah, he's definitely in the corner, so you can see everyone.
The one facing the door.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, as you guys arrive, the captain kind of gestures for you guys to come in. He's like, yes, come in, take a seat, let's find out what's happening. Let's out a sigh. You guys will sit, I assume.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take a seat.
Cool. So he kind of like looks around the table and kind of gestures. Well, we'll start with the normal. He like looks towards you, Gwen. How's the ship faring?
Considering the degradation the ship has gone through in the past, surprisingly well.
He nods. That's good. Yourself and
Yes.
Laura keeping it together.
The crew's a bit disheartened, lost morale after losing Noah.
Yeah. Looks a bit chagrined. It's like, yes, of course they would be. But any problems, anything major that I should know about, or all handled?
Nothing I've seen so far.
He nods. That's good. That's good.
Well,
Better than some of the reports I've had in the past. Laughs to himself.
I make a joke saying, although I see Bruce's face on every camera at the moment.
I think Christy goes, can't see that as a bad thing. Does have quite the jawline.
Yes, but when you've seen it 50 times in the last hour, it kind of gets boring.
Guess that's what's happened when you assign someone to fix the cameras on the ship. How is that going, by the way? Do we have full coverage again?
We should do. Bruce reported in earlier saying job's complete.
She nods.
So all
Excellent.
cameras will be up and running now. If anything else happens, we should see it now.
Excellent. It's good to hear. She looks up and gets a general report from each of the section heads. I don't think there's anything noteworthy that comes from anybody, unless you guys have anything that you would like to mention to the captain and the XO.
No, I don't mention the ex-pilot's
High.
really bad drinking habit.
Or that you're high.
His liver was destroyed. Absolute mess.
Cool. So then he turns to Slane and Morgan. He says, "So, have you found anything extra about what happened?"
We are currently going through his personal effects to corroborate certain theories.
He nods.
And of course, we have our suspicions, but we can't say anything concrete at this time.
He looks around. He says, "Well, is there suspicion about anyone in this room?"
I just look at Slane and say, and a meaningful nod between the two of us.
They all like look around at each other, like everybody in the room kind of like exchange glances. Christy and the captain just kind of like they're watching the room. Okay, I'll expect a personal debrief on the matter at some point. Myself and the XO. And he stands and says, "All right, is there anything else anyone has?" Kind of gestures to the room.
How many days
Yes.
until we make dock?
There is,
He died 3 weeks from port, so
and it's
3
been.
weeks. It's been a day.
No,
Oh, wait,
it's
no.
been
Yeah,
3 days. There's been a couple of time skips in there, so it's been 3 days. So you've still got like 2.5 weeks till you reach where you're going.
I see. As long as nothing happens, we should have 2 weeks of working ship.
Did we discuss the accident in the meeting?
No.
He asked for updates on whether there's anything that they could mention, like whether there's anything that security can mention here, or whether they need a personal debrief with the captain of the XO. And security seemed as if they would like a personal debrief with the captain of the XO.
Oh yeah, so I thought we would just debrief in on like the general situation of like all our affairs. Myriam made it clear that it's very likely that this was not an accident. Whether, it's very probable that this was not an accident.
Christy, like, nods slightly. Yeah, I thought as much. It's rare for anything like this to happen. Only injuries that normally come about on a ship is high G, and well, we haven't gone through any high G burns recently. I'm pretty sure this place would fall apart.
It would be very well. We should catch this person as soon as possible. It would not be good to have a killer running about who
Slain
could act at every moment.
Slain clears his throat. I agree.
Well, that's a new one, Slane. I like it.
Slane turns his head very slowly to you. I don't know what you're talking about, son.
Oh, of course not. And I'm not a boy, Slane.
Don't think that matters here, son.
I nod. Well, of course not, partner.
Why are you talking like that?
Why are you here?
Oh, why the hell is the entertainer here?
I'm here at Morgan's request. Thank you.
Yeah, Captain Troy says, I was told he was looking into the murder investigation.
But he doesn't have any skills for that. He plays the guitar. Not very well.
He's also one of the few people on the ship who are cleared.
He's head of morale, and he deserves to talk if he has any updates.
Speaking of morale, Captain, we've been writing a fun little ditty about, it's called The Ballad of Captain Rex and his death-defying stunts against scorpions. The crew's going to love it. It'll pick them right up.
Captain Nods says, of course, you can exercise that to your own gestures.
I'm making a point not to drink in front of everybody, though. But that's something I don't do. I'm just not, like, necking the bottle in the room.
Yeah. He gestures around the room. Anything else?
Nothing I can think of right now, Captain.
Okay. So, everyone like starts to stand and to like leave the room, and kind of as that happens, I think we get like a external view of the ship, and we see from the external view, we see like. Okay, so the way like thrusters, maneuvering thrusters work in this game, it's basically jets of water that get blasted out, which slightly adjust course. We see one of them like slightly firing for a routine course correction, and then we see we don't hear anything obviously because it's vacuum of space, but we see like a pop from that maneuvering thruster that's firing, and we see the ship like jolt to the side slightly, and it goes into a like slight spin. We see other maneuvering thrusters attempting to fire to fix the spin, and then cutting, and we just see the ship starting to spin towards camera, and as it kind of like gets to where the camera is shooting from, the screen goes black. And we fade into like a black room. We hear the 3-tone blapping alert of a high G alarm, and we see like the emergency lighting that's like flashed along down the corridor, and the camera kind of pans slightly, and we see into the room that we were in before, and we see like all the furniture is like basically bolted to the floor, so that's fine. But we see like everybody who had like gotten up have been like thrown off their feet. Anyone who is still sitting is fine. Did you stand up?
I was probably about to stand up in the middle of it.
Cool. So anyone, it's up to you who was standing and who wasn't. There'll be a save to see.
Were we burning already?
You were. It's a course correction. So the way space travel works is ships are under constant thrust, apart from that point in the middle where they flip and they burn back the other way to get rid of momentum. It's the only way that gravity. It's all thrust gravity. So it's a flip and burn. So you would have been on the like deceleration part of that. So you've already flipped. You're decelerating. So yes, you would have been under thrust, but the thrust would have basically works as your normal gravity, right? So what we're seeing at the moment is everybody like scattered around the room, apart from the people who were like sitting down. And we also see like gravity's gone. We're not thrusting anymore. There's no thrust. So you can see people who have been thrown to the ground, like starting to like rebound and float into the air. Anything that wasn't nailed down, anything that was just like sitting on the table, is now like also floating. It's probably been thrown against a wall and is cracked. There's probably a couple of comp pads that have been cracked. So who was standing up when it happened?
I would have
decide that.
Me and Slane pointedly did not get up.
Slane was already standing.
Oh shit.
Slane never sat down. That's
okay, yeah. That's his problem. I did not.
Wait, so Morgan was sitting down still.
Yes.
Cool. So anyone is sitting all of the like seated people have basically been like thrown back into their chair. So they're fine. But the people who were standing up or in the process of standing up have been thrown off their feet. So it's not going to kill you, but it could hurt.
If Morgan was sitting down, I'm sitting down.
What's the save?
Let me see how this game works. I'm pretty sure it'll just be like a physical.
It's physical. Yeah.
If I remember how. Yeah, it's just a physical saving throw.
Okay. Oh, it's good to see some shit never changes.
Still can't roll.
Did you meet Will Wheaton in your childhood or something? Is this what's happening?
Could be.
Oh, you rolled a 1. Oh, no, you didn't. No, you rolled a 5.
No.
Oh, you don't have any pluses to it.
Yeah.
So you take 4 points of damage as you like are thrown off your feet and like collide into the side of the bulkhead. I'll roll for everyone else.
That's fucking brutal.
You almost died, man.
I still have half hit points.
Well, how many hit points do you have?
I had 8.
Shit, how do you
6 plus con, I think.
You have 2.
Yeah, you lost half, man.
Damn, you have a lot of cons.
I rolled for my hit points, man.
What? I need to check. Nuts.
No, I was the only one that rolled for hit points.
No, I rolled too. I just rolled max.
Okay, so Slane is thrown from his feet.
What's your con mod, Lane? Or Constantine?
How did I just pop out the chat? There we go.
You clicked and dragged back to them.
I don't have a con mod, Matt.
So you have 6 HP. If you don't have a con mod, you
should. So Slane takes
he's an adventuring warrior.
Okay, okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. His checks out. So Slane takes 1 point of damage as he like is hurled off his feet, but manages to like get his hands in the way of him just colliding directly with the chair. It's fine. It's fine. That was the captain.
Oh fuck these guys.
Captain's dead.
So bad.
Exo is not fine. Exo is fine. Not fine. Cool. So there's 2 people that suffered like minor injuries, a couple of scrapes, possible concussion, and Constantine has a pretty nasty gash on like his arm or something, where it's like came across the table or head or wherever. It's up to you. Plus, what is probably a concussion.
Thank fuck the doctor's in the room.
He's dead.
What?
So everyone, like, there's a confused, obviously, like muttering and talking between the crew until the captain like stands up, and you can see him in like the dull red light of the emergency lighting. It's kind of hard to make
out, or is it just like emergency lighting?
The whatever is the main power has, or else the lighting would still be on. But the like obviously you haven't lost your backups, or else the emergency lighting would also be dead.
And oxygen.
Obviously, you can still hear the air recyclers, so you've still got atmosphere processing, which is nice. And the captain like pushes himself up, and obviously you're now in 0 G. So he like pushes himself, and he's floating slightly above the floor, and he kind of like looks around the room. Someone tell me what the hell just happened with my ship.
I get on my compad as fast as I can and call up Lauren.
Everyone's heads turn to Gwen.
Yo, Doc.
I roll my eyes.
I just yell at my compad, Laura.
Yeah, there's a short like beep 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 of a connecting, and then you see like Laura, like she's obviously like put her compad down on something because you can see up to the roof, and you hear like you hear her pulling something apart, like you hear her like metal on metal sort of sound. Yeah, boss, what do you need?
The fuck happened?
You're fucking asking me. I'm trying to find out. And you can hear more like wrenching on metal. For a moment, like you see her like stand up, and you see like a flick of hair, which is now like haloing around her head in the 0 G, as she's like playing, like doing something on the screen. You see like a light illuminate the roof a little bit more, and she goes, "Oh, shit, Chief, you want to get down here? This ain't good."
On my way. Anyone down there hurt?
She looks around. I was the only one here. I don't know about the rest of the ship. Probably want to get a dark on that though. The XO turns to you, like fuck, how do I say your name? Matua?
Matua, Dr. Matua.
Matua. It turns to you, Dr. Matua. That's your job. Get on this. Get on any casualties we might have.
Casualties first.
Fix Constantine.
She looks at you. That's your job.
I give a pointed look towards Constantine. What about the injured?
Don't worry, we're on it.
Casualties means death. Injured means not dead.
Casualties means anyone who's affected by a situation.
No, you're right. I was getting my Matt fucked up on that. Matua did not fuck on that. Matua,
I'm not.
Instead, doesn't say
I'm not
anything.
Supposed to be here. I'm not people. I don't count. Fuck you.
Exactly.
Don't worry, Constantine. Morgan is getting up from his chair to grab you now.
You see,
I'm better.
Myra,
it's like
go on.
Yeah, as Myra like does whatever she's doing, you see Christy like she pulls out her compad, is like looking at something, and you see like her eyes go wide. She like turns towards the captain, says, "Captain, we got a problem." She like turns towards Gwen. Gwen, you need to get me power. You need to get me power now.
On it, and I just rush out of the room as fast as I can. Like, I'm used to being in 0 gravity anyway, because I've been living on space station my entire life.
So, like, this is where we see the very evident flick between like outer planets and like Martians and Earthers, right? Outer planets people, they're fine in 0 G. These people are like, so they're like, speeding down coreways, like kind of slapping sides to give themselves slightly more momentum. Earthers are slightly harder to. they're the ones who are doing the worst here.
We get like a visual of like Myra pushing herself up from the chair awkwardly, like flying, like going backwards and doing like an accidental like somersault, and then like kicking off a chair and like bouncing into a wall, and then cut to like this elegance of Gwen darting through everything.
Yeah, like darting through corridors.
It's almost like a video game with Gwen, but Morgan is just kind of like he grabbed the chair, he got up, he's still holding the chair, he goes to the next one.
Is there any like debris or anything in the hallway?
No, there's not. You pass like a crew member or two who are like clutching at like cuts in their heads, chins, arms. There's small balls of blood that are flying out. A few people look fine, maybe a few bruises. You maybe pass one person with like a broken arm.
I'd assume like the crew might have like a distress like signal on their jumpsuit or something kind of thing.
Yeah, so like the built-in function of the crash suits is like a medical system, so that if the suit detects heightened vitals, it'll send a trigger to the medical system.
Yeah, so I don't worry about the injured people. I just keep going down to engineering.
Yeah.
Because I'm suspecting security has a thing to do here with finding people and pulling them back to the hospital.
So basically that's security's job, right? Medical deal with people once they've been brought to medical. Security's job is to find the injured and the wounded and the people who are okay, get them to medical as quickly as you can. Plus, if this was an act of sabotage, find out whoever did that. Or if it was just the ship blowing up, that's an engineering problem.
Yep.
So anyone didn't do it. Okay, so who would have left the room at this point?
I would have left soon.
I'm still in the room.
I think I'm with Matt,
I'm dealing with him.
and no, we're not dealing with him here. We gotta move him to
a quick I'm dealing with him on the way then because it's a quick fix.
Yeah. So
I grabbed the factory standardized lore and biting medical pack on the
Slane
wall.
probably has people to call because he's.
I mean, there's one in every room.
Yeah, so I grabbed the med pack on the wall and tend to his concussion. You want me to roll for that?
So, roll me a whatever it is in this system. Heal.
And in the second session, brain damage.
Not from the accident, from the doctor's fuck over the care.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Before I do that, can I bioscan him to get a bonus?
Sure.
Yeah. So
Can I point at my head, tell her there's a gash?
So, Matt, how much time do you want to spend on him now versus getting him to a place?
Okay. On the way there, I'm scanning him with my scanner just to see what's wrong. And then,
so
that makes sense.
As you guys are leaving, you see the XO and the captain in a pretty serious conversation. Christie's pointing something out on a compad, and you just see the blood drain out of the captain's face. His lips pressed tight into a bloodless, the bloodless line. And he goes, "You gotta be fucking shitting me. This ain't good." Christy pulls up her compad, and Gwen, you get an incoming comm request on your compad.
I'm currently upside down in the hallway, going as fast as I can, and I answer it.
Yeah.
You probably even have a hot-wired comm thing, and
one of my implants is part of my comm.
So you see like I said, it'd be audio. So you hear Christy, and she sounds stressed. She says, "You need to get me power, at least to the reactors, maneuvering thrusters, anything. We need to straighten out this spin. We need to," shakes her head. "We're off course. We're heading to an area of space that we shouldn't fucking be in. You need to get us off this trajectory. You need to get us off this now."
I'm running as fast as I can. I'm almost engineering. Send anyone you can down to help.
She nods. "Wake up all of your team. This is desperate. Keep us informed."
At this point.
True.
Right.
Okay.
You're the one setting the agenda. So are you shouting into an audio bypass to the entire team that this is what they're getting into?
Since I'm the chief engineer or whatever, I probably have access to everyone, all engineering comms kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just do the code red, order everyone down to engineering bay.
Yeah, everyone alert. You guys hear throughout the ship. You hear a different. So the high G alarm sounded momentarily and then went off. As you'd expect, it obviously sounds late because it can't sound exactly when the high G happens. So a new alarm sounds. It's a general quarters, like an all hands alarm. Basically, all people who are non-essential are to get to an area in which they'll be safe. So they're the crash areas. Whereas anyone who can be up or is important to the current situation need to get up and get into positions.
Yeah, I've woken. I woke up Vinny. Yeah, just to, and he's meeting me and Erica there.
Yeah, so we see. I think we see Morgan and Dr. Matura entering the hospital thing with Constantine because he's injured.
Yeah, as you guys arrive, you see Vinny working on somebody. There's probably a small break in the arm that he's straightening. There's a horrific sound of bone being clicked back together, and a muted scream from the person whose arm is broken. And he looks over his shoulder. What the fuck happened, Chief?
Oh, that's me. No, who's
Chief Medical Officer?
Yeah,
Chief Medical Officer.
I have no fucking clue, Vinny. How's he doing? I bring more Constantine over to the table and start working.
I'm thinking there are emergency racks for just slapping people in to await medical treatment. And Morgan just looks at Constantine you want in?
Yes, but be gentle, please.
Okay.
He's not gentle.
Narrator, he was not gentle.
Constantine will remember this.
So Vinny, looking over his shoulder, says, "This one will live. Doesn't seem too bad. It was horizontal G. Injuries won't be as bad as they could have been."
Yeah, and I think you hear Morgan the comm beeps, and there's a security message about how many wounded to expect.
And then probably at that point, the first one gets floated in.
Yeah, so I think I picked Vinny up on the trip. So in the past 7 months, in the past 7 months, we picked him up on a planet or a moon or a station or whatever, and he's an orphan, and he showed some aptitude for medical skills, so he's new to the whole medical scene.
Your
and
apprentice.
is still is my apprentice, and Erica was here when I got here. She's been here for a while.
Yeah.
But she's not as experienced as me. So Vinny's fresh-faced as shit and super nervous. So I grab him by the shoulders, look him in the eyes. Vinny, stay calm. It's gonna get insane. Stay calm. You're good at this. Follow your gut.
Yeah. So for Erica floats in. She goes, what is your character sheet? She goes, Myra, we're gonna run into problems if we don't get gravity back soon.
Yeah,
you would know as a medic, right?
Yeah.
Injuries in null G are a lot worse than what they would be in gravity. Pooling of blood gets a lot worse. Blood doesn't naturally drain as it would in gravity. Stuff like pneumonia and shit like that is a lot more common because fluid won't drain from the lungs. It will just sit in the lungs. Fluid won't drain from a wound. It will just sit in the wound.
Blood clots.
Yeah, it's injuries get bad if
yeah, that's why I'm imagining emergency strap-on things.
Wrong. Yeah, but
they just basically, if you have a wounded arm, they just slap some plastic over it so that blood doesn't spill everywhere.
It's based like inflatable casts, right?
Yeah.
Until you can get a proper one on, there's just like inflatable things that you put on and they just like inflate out. But yeah, it's having wounded in, especially this sort of wounding, like bruises and cuts are bad in zero gravity. So yeah, you guys need gravity.
I pull Gwen up on or I start dialing Gwen as I'm heading to the wounded. Assuming she picks up. Yes.
Yeah. So Gwen, you're currently in like an animated conversation with Laura about what the fuck just happened. She's like shrugging and like she's like, okay, so we'll cut in. So we cut across to like this conversation.
Yeah, we have the entire engineering team filing in with Laura.
Yeah, like so the engineering team are currently like pulling apart things and looking at logs and trying to diagnose exactly what happened. And I think Laura's, because she's like a rather short girl, definitely an earther. She's like kind of like floated up in the room, so she's above head height where everyone kind of is, and she's like kind of calling to the room as a whole. She says, from what I see, one thrust is down. We're completely off course. We're in a slight spin, about 0.5 G. She like shrugs. Power's gone too. Someone fucked it up.
Is there anything we can do to get at least gravity back on, or anything? Power. She
gestures towards us like 2 or 3 people who are currently. One of them's like looking at a log, and the other one's like 2 are like standing next to something and about like starting to like look at pulling it apart. It's like the main reactor, which is what provides all of your power and thrust. So if you don't have power or thrust, that's probably what's gone down.
Fuck, this is still not looking good.
She looks at you and like chuckles. She says, well, I think that's bad. I've got some worse news. And that's when your like compad bleeps.
I'd probably just like open up a comm, like just through like the general room.
Gwen, we need gravity as soon as possible. Top priority. If we don't, people are going to die. People will die, Gwen. The injuries sustained are blunt force, and it's in 0G. That's bad. Very, very bad. We need gravity.
I've lived in space my whole life. I know we need gravity.
Well, then you fucking get on it.
What do you think we're doing down here?
That's a valid point. Good luck.
Oh,
so you, Gwen, you hear it very clearly. Myra, you hear it like slightly through the speaker. You're not 100% sure if what you heard is right.
I'm 100% sure.
But Laura goes, "Fucking bitch! Tell us something we don't know."
I 100% know. I know.
Yeah, when you said let's call Gwen and talk about gravity, I was just like, well, she's on it, so why are you calling her?
Yeah, I was like dealing with a patient.
But it fits because you're hyped up on speed.
Yeah,
you got injuries.
That's going to be fun.
I've been in space for 7 months. This is the first time I've had to deal with a situation like this.
No, we probably drilled on something similar. It's fine.
I doubt on this ship we did.
Yo, Frankenstein, could I have a bandage, please?
I throw him like a bandage, or like I throw him a las patch, or like whatever the version of a las patch is for people who aren't dead.
Oh,
so
thanks, Doc. I was really starting to worry that my head gushing out blood floating into the air was starting to bother you. So
you see like there's a plastic thing over your like injury, and it's just pulling.
Non-essential crew come last.
Not essential.
Singing is not essential, Constantine.
Yeah, so then we cut back to engineering. Laura goes, well, the bad news, if that maneuvering thruster went down, it would have taken down the grid. Somebody needs to get between the hulls take a look. If that thruster blew a hole in the outer hull, that could be a bad task.
I've got a feeling we're kind of boring at the moment. I just, anyone volunteer to go out?
Laura, like, shrugs. Well, I'm pretty sure me and you are the only ones with qualifications to go out there. I'll do it. You're chief.
You sure I can do it if we need?
She shakes her head. You're the chief. Your job is here. I'm an engineer. She shrugs. Just, don't let them power the ship back till I'm inside. That'd be bad for me, okay?
Try not to get blown up by space radiation.
It's not that I'm worried about. That thruster, if it's still pumping out water, that could be bad. Hard to fix as well.
Is it possible to shut off the other thruster while we're doing this, or do we need it?
She, like, shrugs. Well, it's taken down the whole grid. We don't exactly have control of them right now. They're not firing, though. If they were firing, we wouldn't be in the spin. And, like, it's kind of no G. You're at, like, 0.03 G the wrong way, like, to the side, because of the very slight spin you're in. So your ships are essentially meant for thrust gravity, which means gravity would be like that. So if that's your ship, if gravity's doing that. Currently it's doing. If that's your ship, currently gravity is doing this, very, very slightly. So we'll see what happens with that. It's not a fast spin. That's not really the problem. But yeah, it's. But anyway,
the engineering crew missing?
You've got a head count. There's a few people, but you assume they're injured.
Where are Bruce and Maurice?
Bruce is here. Maurice is not.
I just yell at one of the other engineers. Someone find Maurice and anyone else missing. You need to know where everyone is.
One of them nods. Can do, boss. And she, like, pushes herself away from the... Kind of like she was standing back, like, looking at a screen. And she, like, pushes herself away from that and floats out of the room.
I go and, like, come to the captain.
Captain picks up pretty quickly.
Captain, we're down one thruster. Shit's gone bad. We're sending Laura out at the moment to see if she can get it, the damage detail, and hopefully get it running.
He nods. Says, just so you know, Chief, we're on a timer. We've got, and he kind of like looks down at his compad, roughly 4 hours to get this fixed. If we don't, we're in trouble.
Understood, but the reactor's down at the moment. It's going to take a while to get it working.
Yeah, so worried you say that.
If there's a leak in the reactor, we're not getting it working.
If there was a leak, the ship would have vented it. Like vented the reactor.
If there's a leak,
unless that doesn't work.
Again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. If the reactor core has been cracked, it won't power up for anyone. And it would have vented the reactor. Cool. All right.
Yeah, so you have a bunch of stuff to do. You got to fix the reactor and you got to fix the grids. It's great.
I just go to the captain before I go. Where are we drifting?
He goes. He looks towards you. Someplace we really fucking shouldn't be.
Would I know the place?
Says, you know that science station Earth was put up? There. Restricted space. We drift there, they'll blow us out of the fucking sky.
Would I actually know what it is? Like know anything about it?
It's just it's a restricted area of space.
Okay.
That basically civilian ships are not allowed near.
Oh, fuck.
I think that's a good spot for a break.
I was thinking. Cool.
Alright, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Maybe 10, probably 5. See you then.
Too sweet. Yep. Good luck.